All right, guys, Donald Trump is currently holding his big rally in Madison Square Garden up in New York, and we got a lot to talk about. But firstly, RFK Jr. has just taken the stage. The crowd is going absolutely crazy, and I figure we might as well tune in and give you our live reaction to it. So, folks, do us a big favor. If you enjoy the content, be sure that you're subscribed to the channel so that way we can keep bringing you videos like this. Best way to support the work is just hitting that red button for free down below. And with that said, here is RFK Jr. taking the stage in New York City.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Imagine telling someone like 10 years ago, heck, 5 years ago, that Trump as the Republican candidate would be having RFK speak to introduce him tonight, and this is the reception he'd be getting. No one would believe you, truly.
A lot of people ask me why I left the Democratic Party. And I say, I don't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. This is not the party anymore of Martin Luther King, of Robert Kennedy, of John Kennedy. That was the party of peace. It was the party of constitutional rights, of civil rights, of freedom of speech. It was the party that wanted to protect and nurture the middle class. It was the party that stood up to censorship, to surveillance, that stood up to the CIA, to the military complex, military-industrial complex. And it was the party that wanted to protect public health and women's sports. My uncle, Ted Kennedy, wrote Title IX, which protected women's sports in college.
That's ironic. Wow. I didn't even know that.
It was the party that believed in voting rights and fought for the right of every American to vote for the person of their choice. Today's Democratic Party is the party of war. It's the party of the CIA. You had Kamala Harris giving a speech at the Democratic Convention that was written by neocons, that was belligerent, pugnacious, that talked about the domination of the world by the United States through our weapons of war. It's the party today that wants to divide Americans. It's the party that is dismantling women's sports by letting men play women's sports.
By the way, that messaging on the neocons is something you've been hearing a lot of tonight, and I'm glad in the closing stages of the campaign they're bringing this up, which is, yes, the Kamala campaign, the Democrat Party, are the party of the neocons. She welcomely, like open arms, embraced Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney for their endorsement. And RFK just talked about that. Tulsi Gabbard prior, who was the speaker literally right before this, brought up the same exact thing. And it tells you a lot about how much politics has changed. But very glad to see that if you are a 2003 Bush neocon in 2024, you have no home in the Republican Party or the Trump movement. You and your band of warmongers does belong in the other camp. Love to see it. Very true, by the way. Very true.
It's the party of Wall Street. It's the party of Bill Gates, who just gave $50 million to Kamala Harris.
True.
It's the party, and the Harris campaign is very proud that it received the endorsement of 50 former CIA agents and officers, and of John Bolton, and of Dick Cheney. These are the people that gave us the war in Iraq.
Yes.
The
yes.
worst foreign policy catastrophe that's ever happened to this country. These are the people that gave us the Patriot Act, that launched the surveillance state. These are the people that are trying to undermine voting rights in this country by weaponizing the federal agencies against political candidates, including me and Donald Trump and all other political candidates. They can't.
That's right. RFK Jr. knows all about that. You know, if you didn't want him here on this stage, Democrats, and yes, it is going to make a difference in this election. I still believe that, okay? He does have between 1 to 5% of supporters that will make a difference here. Then maybe, you know, this guy was the poster child for your party for a very long time. Maybe you shouldn't have treated him like such garbage. I have no idea. But, you know, this is the Democrats' own arrogance and hubris just coming back to bite them. We've seen this story time and again, many such cases.
Win an election. And instead of bringing in a candidate who wins the primaries, abolish the primaries. And then pick two candidates, anointed them without receiving votes. We don't even know how Kamala Harris received the nomination.
True.
And this is the party of Wall Street, of big banks, of big data, of big tech, of the military contractors, and the parties of big pharma, big ag, big food, and big chemicals. It is the party that's given us the sickest children in the history of the world. When my uncle was president, 6% of Americans had chronic disease, and we spent 0 on chronic disease in this country. Today, 60% of Americans have chronic disease. This is existential for our country. We're spending $4.3 trillion a year, 5 times our military budget. 77% of American boys cannot qualify for military service because of chronic disease diagnoses. This is existential for our country.
And you think this would be an issue that is very important to the Democrats, considering like they're kind of thought to be the party of the hippies, of the environmentalists, of, you know, the people who care more about that type of stuff. But as we often see, all they care about is this climate change issue. And it really has nothing to do with climate change. It's more like mass control. Because when it comes to, I don't know, just taking care of the local environment, Democrats don't care about that. They don't even go outside, right? You know, they're like, so, and then, yeah, on this food issue, they just call him a conspiracy theorist, you know? You would think, traditionally, I always thought kind of growing up very young that Democrats cared about this type of stuff, but as you can see, they do not.
President Trump called me 3 hours after his shooting. And he said, would I come and sit down with him? And he said to me during that meeting, he said, there are some things that we can agree on and some we disagree on, but the landscapes on which we agree are so much larger. He said, I want to end the wars. I want to end this surveillance and censorship. I want to protect the Constitution. I want to protect freedom of speech. I want to end the surveillance. I want to end the weaponization of government against American politicians. And I want to end the chronic disease epidemic. Now, don't you think that we deserve a president in this country who's going to restore the moral authority of the United States of America? Don't you think that we deserve a president who's going to end the warfare state and rebuild the middle class? And don't you want a president who's going to make America healthy again? And don't you want a president who's going to make America great again?
Oh, he said it. Let's go.
And we need to go to the polls on November 5th and vote for Donald Trump. God bless you and God bless America.
Guys, I am so glad, frankly, that RFK Jr. is on our side, because I think his coming over to the other side of the aisle really puts the punctuation mark on the political realignment that Trump has caused, where there is this strong line in the sand, right? If you still to this day are a believer in that old GOP, the party of the neocons, the party of corporate and big donor and big money interests, your home is no longer in the Republican Party. Your home is in the Democrat Party with Kamala Harris's best friend, Dick Cheney. But if you are a part of that original coalition who opposed the Iraq war and thinks that, the government's very corrupt and, there's a lot of problems that we need to fix at home and, they lied to us about a lot of things. And by the way, there are figures who believe that both on the left and the right, whether you're talking about Pat Buchanan and Ron Paul or people like RFK Jr., your home, the coalition, the populist anti-establishment coalition, is now with Donald Trump as Tucker Carlson takes the stage, and I believe he will be giving the introductory speech for Trump. That's what it is, okay? And I'm very happy about this. I think RFK is a great ambassador for Trump. And I think his supporters in the election ultimately will make a difference. But with that said, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.